There was a lot of hope when Mr. Mandy was appointed chairman, given his wide experience in the education sector and his work ethic, epitomizing hard work and transparency. But just days into office, staff at UNEB started complaining about his methods of work, including his personal decision to introduce daily physical training. This deepened further when the contract of Mr. Matthew Bukenya, executive secretary, expired, with Mandy demanding that he gets out of office. A recruitment process to fill the vacancy commenced, but it was later to be established by the Inspectorate of Government that Mandy, in his capacity as chairman of UNEB, had influenced the process in favor of his friend. The IGG recommended that he should be sacked on account that his style of management could cause more trouble at UNEB. Mr. Fagil Mandy scoffed at the report and even indicated that the country will lose a lot if he was sacked or if he left that place. The Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Jessica Lupo, and President Yoweri Museveni, to whom the report was addressed, had not yet taken any action, and both Mr. Fagil Mandy and Matthew Bukenya remained in office. And in fact, together they released all examination results to the minister. And at that time, the Ministry of Education assured the country that all was well at UNEB. Mandy and Bukenya also insisted they had no personal battles to settle. So tonight on Spectrum we ask, why did Mr. Fagil Mandy all of a sudden resign from his posting as UNEB chairman? What explanation can the Ministry of Education provide for failing to detect or deal with his internal wrangles? In light of this development, what is the future of UNEB, a key institution in our education sector? Our guests tonight, Mr. Fagil Mandy, former chairman of the Uganda National Examinations Board. You're most welcome, Mr. Mandy.
Thank you very much, and good evening, listeners.
We also are joined on the line by Honorable Jessica Lupo, Minister for Education and Sports, on the line from Katakwi District. You're most welcome. Well, she'll join us. We are getting hold of her on the line from Katakwi, which neighbors Karamoja. Mr. Fagil Mandy, why did you resign as UNEB chairman?
Well, I resigned. Let me give a bit of background that when I became chairperson in July 2012, 10 days after being installed, I did probably what most people would not do. I wanted to learn more about the institution, UNEB, because I believe that as a chairperson and even the entire board, your power as a board lies in how much you know about the systems, about the institution, so that you can oversee it and guide it. So 10 days into my installation, I called a meeting through the executive secretary of the entire staff. And the objective was to get as much information from them as possible. And they answered the 3 questions for me, individually and confidentially, on pieces of paper. 1, what were the major achievements of UNEB according to them? Number 2, what were the remaining problems or challenges which they wanted to be clarified? Number 3, what did they think the board should do? I collected all these, and for me this was the beginning of my understanding exactly what UNEB was about. Unfortunately, there were so many challenges, including sexual harassment, financial mismanagement, and all that. So later I put this together into a report, because by that time the board had not yet been scheduled to sit. So I was acclimatizing myself as a chairperson. So I put this together, handed it back to the secretariat through the executive secretary, and said, look, these are the ideas that have come from the staff. Please sort out what you think are the challenges and show us. We shall present this later to the board. But management handled it. So that was step number 1. When the board eventually sat, and the management presented what they thought they would do in order to answer the challenges mentioned by the staff, the board threw out their report. They thought it was not strong enough. As a result of that, the board agreed now that
what threw out your report?
The report which I gave to the secretariat, and the secretariat now worked out by way of, this is what we intend to do in order to address the challenges. So this was rejected by the board. Instead, the board thought the matters raised in the report were so strong that we needed an independent little body to do work on behalf of the board, to instead, 1, look at the report as had been summarized, look at what the management had proposed to do, but look also at the entire systems of UNEB. Because, by the way, by that time, even IGG was investigating. I never got to know exactly what they were investigating. They were investigating UNEB. Okay? So, the task force did the job in 7 days. and produced a report on the systems, considering also the issues raised by the staff. So that report of the task force, plus what the staff had raised, for me as a new incoming chairperson, was great ground for me. So because I didn't want to operate in a vacuum, I didn't want to operate on a theory. Okay, so that was what happened. Then the board sat and was presented that report by the task force. Among the things that were found by the task force, which was of independent nature, one, we had a big challenge in human resource management. Human resource to fulfill the targets in the strategic plan was a big challenge. Number two, finances, apart from the amounts, but also the management of the finances had a big challenge. Number three, the security of the exams and the security of the UNEB's property had a big problem. Then overall, the management itself as a style had a big problem. So here we are, a task force has said you've got about 5 generic problems in the systems. Good. So that is what took place before even the coming in of the new board, which came in around December. Okay. Now, luckily enough, I passed on this report to the IGG and requested that IGG follows up. Two, I passed the report on to the Auditor General of Government. I said, please help me, because the task force had recommended a forensic audit. Okay, we have not succeeded in getting them followed up, but I am giving this as a background that whatever we've been doing as a board, we've not been doing by guesswork. It was a huge job. This is an internal job, heavy. What the public knows outside is peripheral, but we have got indicators. We need to look at the systems inside UNEB to get it to move forward 10 times faster. So that was one of the reasons. When you have such a huge job, which probably I and some members of the board only know now, you get me, but also the minister was given a copy of this, okay, because we wanted this to be dealt with. So the job to streamline UNEB is more huge than what appears on the surface. So in order to fulfill that job, or to carry out that job and do it thoroughly, you need supporting mechanisms. You need a support system, one, of a better organized human resource, proper led by the chief driver, the executive secretary. You need the total understanding of the whole board. You need the support of the Minister of Education, and you need the support of even higher than the Minister of Education, including HE, the President.
The vision bearer.
Exactly. So really, that's one of the reasons. When I compare the job that has got to be done in UNEB and the sort of support I have been indicated to have, I find the two are not balancing. Otherwise, you beginning boxing against a rock alone. I'm not an Atlas. Are you getting me? I'm a very effective person, but I can't turn myself into an Atlas. So that's the major thing. The job is so huge. You need support. You need clear-minded management. You need clear-minded people up there to support you. Then come to really the straw that broke the back of the camel. Okay, that one I was ready to do. That's why we appointed to take on huge jobs. I keep saying huge jobs are done by tough guys. Are you getting me? So come in the IGG, the report. IGG gets a whistleblower that I have messed up the process. Actually, there were 17 allegations against Fagil Mandy, okay, which we can't go through right now. Yes. But one of them was that I had messed up the process of getting a new executive secretary. All right, fine. I get the report, I read it, I wait for communication from my bosses, the minister, because that's my immediate boss. Okay, so that delayed a bit, not delayed a bit, but it delayed differently. Now I get the response. Okay, and one of the directives is that, one, the executive secretary's contract be extended until a substantive executive secretary is appointed, which I disagreed with. Definitely, consciously, this did not need a directive to the board, because the job of getting the executive secretary or renewing his contract is a mandate of the board with the approval of the minister, not the other way around. Okay. Number two, that the new executive secretary, a substantive, the process be carried out be started again as recommended by the IGG, although the letter does not say so. Okay, but this is handled by the secretariat, which I disagreed with. You cannot get a secretariat where there is an incumbent executive secretary who is a very highly interested party in the process and who had previously tried to frustrate the whole process and say, begin the process. They could put the advert in the papers, even if they had a private body. If private bodies can be braved. So I disagreed with that. Then thirdly, I also disagreed because I was told that as chairperson now I rate throwing back my powers as a chairperson and as a board, that I write to executive secretary extending his contract. Now, I didn't think. First of all, I never believed in his extension of contract. No, I didn't believe in it. We had discussed this as a board, and we had already agreed previously, last year, that when the time came for the contract to end, we would get an acting from one of the deputies to take charge of the institution pending completion of the process of getting a new executive secretary. Okay, so that is what was in the letter. That's what I disagreed upon. But behind even the letter, when you say the process of appointing executive secretary be started afresh, that means you are agreeing with what IGG had written in her report. Nobody discussed this report with me. Okay, now when you look at it, I am a mature man, I'm an experienced man. If you agree with the IGG that actually we repeat the process of getting the executive secretary, we throw aboard whatever we had done, that means you are agreeing that Fagil Mandy, as chairperson, messed up the process. Now when you say I messed up the process, I don't agree. And in any case, even if I had messed up the process, I could not remain there as chairperson who has messed up the process. That's a job that was discrediting me. Okay, so those are the reasons why I resigned.
Well, the Inspector General's report, page 1, says further complaints were that Mr. Mandy interferes with the management of UNEB by giving instructions directly to members of staff without going through the secretary. Why did you do that?
Not instructions. Actually, I was asked that question by the officers who came. I said, look, when I can't get the executive secretary, who do I get information from?
His deputy.
The deputies. True, I had talked to the deputy in charge of secondary school several times. I had talked to the deputy in charge of primary several times. And at one time, I talked to somebody at the head of department of ICT. Several times. As chairman, constantly, and by the way, we've been having a very bad communication problem.
With Mr. Bukenya?
With the whole system. The whole system. We were only saying, look, every month begin sending a report to members of the board.
Even they hadn't been doing that?
No. Even by now, by the time I retired, I resigned, that one had not been fully established. We had agreed monthly, how even if it is one page, brief the members. Number 2, begin sending the papers that come for the board meetings or committee meetings before by email, so that they come. Meanwhile, I was trying to get the board members to begin reading material before coming to the board meetings. Okay, so communication was a bit of a problem. But in any case, in the usual way of oversight, you need information as a chairman. And who do you talk to?
The UD.
Yeah, exactly. The executive secretary. If he's not there, then his deputies. I never talked to anybody below. I didn't. And for me, I think that is not interfering with management.
Right.
They said also that I would move around the institution, which is true.
Yes.
I said, as chairman of the board, and in fact I said we were supposed to have a retreat by the entire board.
Right.
Okay. So the board was supposed to, I told these officers of the IGG, I said, by the way, when we have the retreat, I have in mind one activity, to take around the entire board to see the facilities of the whole of UNEB. Because one of the things we oversee is the sites, the properties, and everything. You get me? So to move around with the executive secretary or his assistant, for me was not overstepping my lane. I wanted to know. For example, I moved to the industrial area to see actually where we are storing the past papers and all the things in a
which is no
mess.
Well, what do you mean it's a mess? It's not air conditioned.
No, it is not air conditioned, but it is also, you know, all the past papers of the scripts of the past years are there.
They're lying on the
and we are paying a lot of money. So there is a big need to create a store for UNEB. Now, let it come to the board. If you don't even where you are storing now, how do you pass that as a resolution? So really there was no... I think we need to explain to people what do they call interference. What I've discovered today in that a lot of people, when you seek for information,
yes,
you appear to be interfering.
People hate to give information.
People hate to give information because information empowers you.
The Africans.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for me, I'm not a hang up in the chairs. Even when I was commissioner, even my method of work, I like the way President Obama is moving now to Malaysia and all this. Why isn't he waiting for intelligence to arrive to him in the White House? He's got to move, guy. I have got to move as a chairman to know. But you know, what is the printing press? What is there? In what state is it? Because that's a critical element of UNEB. You get me? So people think that is interference, which I don't agree with. And for me, all of us must learn how to work differently now.
You took these people for PE, physical education. I know they were primary one children. Why did you? Some of them are old men, older than you.
But I am an old man. I'm 65. I do my physicals.
80-year-old people. You take them for PE.
Did you see the pictures that came? They were over. Did you see Mr. Bukenya crying? He was enjoying. Everybody was enjoying.
In a tracksuit.
Exactly, in a tracksuit. Actually, the whole idea about the physical education was to create a new work culture. It was sensitizing.
In the morning, as though you're in primary.
Yeah, you know, not in primary. As you want to sharpen your workmanship. Because remember, we did
it in primary school.
Yes. Do you do your physicals now, David?
I do them on the streets as I walk.
Yeah. Only that you need to do more. You need to do more. Even walking is good enough, but you need to do a little bit more. Now, when I introduced the physicals, it was not to get the people terrorized. No, it was introducing a culture that would make work easier in UNEB. By the way, I want to inform the listeners out there. UNEB work is very, very stressing.
So you need
people sleep in the printing press. Markers come and leave their wives and families and get locked up in marking centers. Now, if you don't do physical exercise,
need PE.
Exactly.
As a matter of priority.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the process of recruitment, because they say you wanted to hire this new executive secretary because you wanted Bukenya out because he's an old man and you don't like his face. What is the process of recruitment?
No, I have nothing wrong with the face.
Talk to us about this process.
What happened was this, okay? When I went to UNEB 2012, July, I didn't know actually that Mr. Bukenya's contract was about to end until a newspaper revealed that 2013, May, June, the executive secretary's contract had ended for 5 months. 5 months out, which broke the law. Quickly enough, we sat as a board, we extended that to 1 year, including the 5 months that had been extended, which was ending in January. Come January
2014.
2013. Yeah, 2014.
2014.
Yeah. Mr. Bukenya applied for an extension. He said, please extend my contract by 6 months. I don't want to leave this institution like I'm being forced out.
He had been there only 16 years.
Okay, only, yeah, in inverted commas. Okay, so we looked at the application. We saw the timing, that this was the time when marking was taking place, when the results were to be compiled. So we said, let's extend it to 17th April.
3 months.
3 months. Come 17th April, there is no sign of handing over. About 14th or 15th, I write as a chairman, reminding him, by the way, that the contract is due to end on 17th. Please make arrangements to hand over to the deputy secretary in charge of administration and finance by end of day, 17th. Come end of day, I pick information, nothing has been done.
It was busy with work.
So, when we knew that January, executive secretary was going to end his contract.
Yes.
And he had served well enough and long enough for the institution. We had already drawn a plan to recruit a replacement. In 2013, we had agreed that we would advertise for the job, which was done. 53 candidates applied. We did the shortlisting. 8 were shortlisted. We wrote back to those who were not shortlisted. We wrote to those who were shortlisted. A day was decided when the interviews were to be conducted. Okay, 30th and 31st. So that was the recruitment strategic plan.
Which month?
I think this was December. No, not December. Was it January or something like that?
Go on.
Yeah, okay, fine. So that was the plan. So come the days when, okay, let me go through the process. The board by that time had not been appointed. With that decision was taken by the old board to recruit an executive secretary. So it was a plan in place
for the new board.
For the new board, but left behind, which had to be followed. Since I was the one who was not new, I was going on. And by the way, some of the members were going to come back anyway, because they come there by virtue of their positions, like the directors of education, the VCs of the universities of government in Uganda. Okay, so we started the process, led by me, of long listing, short listing. That was what was done. I put together a little team composed of some of the ex-official members
of the board
to handle the exercise, which was purely technical. Long listing and short listing, and we kept it to that. Board comes into being and an appointments committee is put in place. We agree that the appointments committee was going to meet on 23rd because we are running out of time. Remember, we are trying to catch up with the 17th of January.
So Mr. Bukenya can go.
And then also go when he has briefed.
You get new man.
Yeah. So come the day of the interview, or about the day of the interview, the chairperson of the appointments committee loses a father. A message is passed on the phone.
Text.
A text. I was not consulted, by the way, but the chairperson talked to the executive secretary, okay, and they agreed that they postpone the interviews until further notice. No, you don't do that.
Suspend them.
Suspend them. We were beating time. Luckily enough, that message had not been sent to the candidates. So I read the message and I directed. I said simply because a member has lost a father,
you can't stop the process.
You can't stop the process of UNEB. Even if it's me as chairman, if I'm dead, PLE exams will not be stopped.
Oh, you want to postpone exams even if you died?
Yeah.
The process will continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the spirit in which you demanded that the process continue.
Exactly. So we went ahead. Okay, and we got an acting chairperson from among the committee members to chair the process.
Let's take a break. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. We'll be back to stay tuned.
Experience the thrill and unforgettable memory of gorilla tracking. Uganda Wildlife Authority is happy to offer you up to 40% discounts on gorilla tracking permits. Offer valid till 31st May. Enjoy the rare wildlife experience of tracking the world's few remaining mountain gorillas in Bwindi Impenetrable Forest and Mgahinga National Parks. You can also enjoy many other activities like nature walks, hiking, birding, golden monkey tracking, culture and community experiences with the Batwa, and a lot more. Don't miss this opportunity.
Uganda Wildlife Authority, conserving for generations.
Legitimate whiskey is different. I am proud that we can now enjoy quality and taste. And style too. I have not felt so original with the liveliness I get each morning after I enjoy legitimate whiskey. Everything seems to be going my way. This is a worthy discovery. Legitimate whiskey is blended from carefully selected Scotch malt, giving it a golden amber appearance with a silky smooth and soothing taste for lasting satisfaction. Legitimate whiskey, a masterfully crafted blend, expertly blended, lighter and styled whiskey. Please enjoy responsibly.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. What could be behind the wrangles at UNEB, which prompted the resignation of the board chairman? What is the future of the organization given this development? Our guest in the studio, Mr. Fagil Mandy, former chairman of the Uganda National Examinations Board. We expected to be joined by Honorable Jessica Lupo, Minister for Education and Sports. She confirmed to us that even though she was far away in Katakwi, she would talk to us on the phone. All of a sudden, she switched off her phone. We could not get hold of that senior lady. Mr. Mandy, but you will be able to call in later and ask this gentleman questions. Mr. Fagil Mandy. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the constitution of the board. How is it constituted? How does it...
the constitution of the board. One, we have more than 25 members.
How can you have a board like that? That's a football
That's what
pitch.
I found it, like that. Let me break it down. All the vice chancellors of public universities are members of the board by virtue of their position. Number two, the association of the teachers, is represented by one member.
Uganda Teachers Association.
Yes, we have the head teachers of Uganda Secondary represented by a member. Currently, the headmistress of Nabingo is the chairperson of the association. Nakate, she's a member of the board.
Yes.
We have the primary schools associations represented by members at regional level. Those are 4. Then also the secondary are represented. Then we have other members who come from, for example, we have Public Service Commission is represented, Education Service Commission is represented. So in total, we have about 25 members.
The only people who are not represented are the kindergarten headmistresses.
Those are not there.
But how can you have a board of 25?
That's one of the things we wanted to actually deal with as a board. I mean, I hadn't really brought it properly to the board yet because it is sensitive, you know. But I had already started thinking as a chairman because, one, we are short of money as UNEB. Every time we sit as a board, we consume 20 million shillings. Every time in a sitting.
Where do you go? Protein and table?
No, we don't. We sit in the boardroom of UNEB.
And they bring Chinese
when you
food.
Pay, no. For example, when the members, as a member, I am paid 380,000 shillings for a sitting, including transport and food on top of sitting. The members earn about 200, 300. When per month, I earn 2 million shillings as a retainer.
Yes.
As a retainer. But that's not what I'm talking about, the 20 million. The 20 million is times. Mark you, when you sit as 25 members, it includes some top management staff who are also paid for sitting allowance.
Right.
So that's one of the issues we wanted to deal with, and I hope the new board, the board will continue, and we need to trim this board to a manageable size.
Not even Microsoft has that size.
No, exactly. So that's the nature of the board, okay? So we have very intelligent people on the board, well positioned. It's a matter of coordinating them to actually do the job and transform UNEB to deal with the issues which I mentioned that were revealed in the task force, okay? So that's the board. We sit about 3 times in a year.
Is that enough for you to draw enough allowances? Should you sit more often?
No, of course. But there are committees also. The board, this is another issue we are dealing with in the new act.
Yes.
The board also has got the following committees. We have got the security committee, which deals like from January up to April. We were sitting nearly every week to deal with examination malpractices and so on. And that one I chair. Then we have the appointments and disciplinary committee. Professor Kwakwal of Busitema University chairs that. I used to chair that, but we changed it. Okay. Then we have got the finance committee, which I chair as chairman. Then we have got the primary committee, primary education committee, primary examination committee, the secondary committee. So we have got about 5 committees. But in the new act, we had proposed to merge some of these committees because each time each committee sits, it's about 10 million shillings.
And they meet very often.
Yeah, they meet very often, not so often the others.
But there are many. There are 5.
There are many. So really, it's good that you are not seeing this. But I think this is a technical thing that can be sorted out. So, but that's the structure of the board. What I would like to add also is that previously, when I joined the board, there was a tendency of members wanting to remain unknown.
What do you mean?
Unknown, because that was the culture, because this is security. But for me, I've been encouraging. I think you remember when the minister swore in the new board, the names were printed out. You get me? Did you notice that?
Well,
yeah, they were printed out. Because for me, as a chairperson, and I think some members, this is a public job. This job of the board should not be run by only the chairperson. Members should be known.
Even the Bank of Uganda board is known.
Exactly. So there was that feeling. And in fact, recently we introduced even our introductions when we invite in, we invite in schools and head teachers and all this, whose results we have confiscated or withheld. So we introduced a new method now. Each member had to introduce themselves. Some few members, many liked it, but some few didn't like it.
Are they the same people who did not like the PD? Let's talk about these interviews. You said Mr. Ntangare, you wanted him to really be executive secretary, to replace Bukenya. Yeah. You kept going to his house at night.
No.
You kept calling him in the middle of the, every
By the way, I don't know even where he's
And they say you used to go to MTG together at Makere.
No.
Why did you like him so
the accusation were that one, that I rang up the wife of Mr. Ntangare to persuade him to apply. Now, why should a mature man like me try to persuade somebody through his wife? Are you getting me? You know, it's just ridiculous. Number two, that I knew him very well. Yeah, I knew him peripherally. You know, I had worked with him. He had invited me as an education consultant to go and talk to a meeting, annual meeting of the accountants.
And they paid
me my fee.
And you liked him as a result?
Oh, well, even if I liked him, but there was no extra love or acquaintance with me and Mr. Ntangare. So Mr. Ntangare simply scored highest marks. We added these marks together as a team.
Because you sat there, you are a friend of him.
Yes, I sat there. I mean, if as a chairman,
you gave him 90, not for one of them.
No, because for me he was the best candidate. There's no question about it.
You had already determined it in his living room at home.
No, because I don't know even where his house is.
I just spoke to him before he walked into the room.
No. What is ridiculous, actually, it is raised in the report of the IGG that when I was entering the room, there was a checking machine, you know, the normal security machine.
Yes.
The fellow had already crossed and stood in a corner next to an askari at a reception desk. I passed through the checking machine. I saw him and said good morning and walked away. I'm surprised that this is being raised by IGG, the whole office of IGG, that it is suspected that maybe at that time. I quickly passed on a question. Why didn't I take it to his house?
You think it's petty?
It is very petty. May I find that the report was actually very petty and not objective enough?
That is the IGG's report?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to us about what ails UNEB structurally. What are the deep weaknesses?
The biggest weakness is the human resource. The recruitment process.
Let's look at the output of their work. Forget about the internal. You've extrapolated on that. Let's talk about the outputs. The outputs, some leakages and so on.
No. I think leakages have been dealt with fairly well. And this is one of the things that I saw I would protect. Leakages have been minimized. But still, every time you minimize, the corrupt person invents other ways. So that's one challenge, to continue fighting leakages. The other one is malpractices. We see them in the fine art paper. We see them in prior information sent to the schools. In fact, most of the cases whose results were withheld were students who were leaked the information we send out, particularly in science, chemistry, and physics. Okay? Then the other one is actually controlling the team that works for us, and I must say they have done a very good job.
Let's talk a little bit about the science exams. I'm just science, I never did sciences, but we know that in advance practical exams, you tell them what specimens to prepare.
Absolutely, and that's one thing which the board needs to think about now.
Or should we
continue with sending that information? Actually, there is a general feeling now, although we have not concretized it. We were supposed to have a final meeting of security to decide whether we should continue sending out this information.
Well,
because it is one way.
What is the alternative?
The alternative is to eliminate that. There are many
send
ways.
Practical exams.
Yeah, do the practical exams. Make sure that every school has got a minimum requirements. You get me?
Like what?
If they're minimum chemicals, for example.
If they're going to dissect a frog, you send frogs in baskets from
Tinder. Must they dissect a frog? Are you getting me?
Well, you have to examine them.
There are many things that can be dealt with.
Like what?
Grasshoppers, whatever. No, what I'm saying, that we had planned to discuss this issue because that was a major cause of leakage of information.
How about missing marks? You cancel a lot of results.
Yes, no, but this year they were surprisingly very low. Because, for example, in A level they were only 43. Very compared to no, A level has been normally very low compared to about 100 last year. PLE also went down, O level also went down. But you see, what we are discovering now is that schools are beginning to bribe our invigilators.
Why?
Because of the competition.
Because what do the invigilators? They close their eyes. They look.
I mean, it's that. That's why where the human element.
Well, but they never know who's coming to invigilate.
No. They never. No. What happens is that for primary schools, for example, the invigilators are selected by the district inspectors of schools.
So the information list.
So you can see the teacher is employed by the district inspector of schools. The teacher is under the DIS is under the pressure of the district who want results. So we still have a bit of that. Not all. That's why we had started started blacklisting. I liked when UBTEB recently was releasing the results. They arrested one teacher.
Business and technical.
Yes, they arrested one teacher, and the teacher is under Mabush. He's been
what is that in English?
A prison.
Mr. Fagil Mandy, the IGG report,
together with the student, by the way.
Well, the IGG report is accusing. He says you have a very casual approach. You know.
But for me, I think I would have loved that. I mean, you don't need to be tough all the time.
You're not even wearing a tie, as I said.
No, as now, and most of the times I don't put on a tie. Now, being casual is being comfortable with what you are doing. You are not forceful. I don't know why it turns out to be a crime.
Maybe you should come in. Maybe you should come in a tracksuit. See if you have to be casual.
Yeah. But
well,
when you are casual, by the way, for me, I don't take things very heavy. Are you getting me? Even to take this decision of resigning.
You didn't consult. You didn't consult your wife.
I consulted my wife.
What did she say?
Consulted some of my children. My wife agreed with me. By the way, one of my children, the youngest,
she said,
in London,
"Come home to Mukono. We'll pick coffee."
No. My daughter actually, before I accepted to be chairman of the UNEB, said, "Daddy,
be careful.
Be careful. Don't be messed up. I hope they won't mess you up." I remembered actually when I was contemplating retire, I said, "Oh, my daughter warned me."
What's her name?
No. Leave her alone.
Mr. Mandy, you told people never to walk around in towns wearing, barefoot.
No.
Why did you do that?
I told people don't walk barefoot because you get germs entering. Can I give you the story background?
Tell us
one.
About
I visited two schools.
Capture.
One in Kapchorwa when I first became RDC. I visited a toilet where children were going. And on the, these are trees, trunks of wood. The traditional toilet.
I don't even want to imagine it.
Are you getting me? And there are maggots there. So you can imagine further. The children put their barefoot onto the maggots when they go to ease themselves. Now, for me, that was really a big disaster. These are my children. Germs entering directly. And by the way, when I was RDC, I had 4 programs I was running. One program on hygiene, sanitation, program food production, program on security, program on education. As RDC, those were my main drive thrusts.
Yes.
So this was part of the drive for hygiene. It was not forced.
Not barefoot.
By the way, you should have been there. How amazingly people picked on putting on shoes.
Tell us what happened.
About what?
Well, about the shoes.
About the shoes, I'll give you an example. I went to a school called Edmond Primary School in Tororo. I went there with a team of administrators, heads of departments, district, who I was training at the golf club. And we were talking about sanitation, food security, and so on. I took them to a neighboring school, 400 meters away from where I was training them. We called a general parade. 700 kids. Okay?
Yes.
Only 18 children had shoes.
Tell us that again.
Okay.
700 children at Elgon School.
Yeah.
Only 18 had shoes.
Exactly.
So what did you do?
I talked to the children. They told me some of them had shoes which they used to wear when they are going to church on Sundays.
Yes.
And also when they went to parties. I explained the need for shoes, and the children, of course, would tell me. Come Monday, I took back the same team. Out of 700, slightly less than 50 children were barefoot.
So 650 had
shoes of all types.
From 18 to 60.
Our recommendation had been buy the strongest shoe, but the cheapest, which was a tire shoe.
Tire shoe?
Exactly. And because slippers, wear in 1 week. The children play football.
They also belong to the bathroom.
Exactly. So the children picked this.
They came with tire shoes.
They started, I'm telling you, there were big cells. The same thing I did in Kabarole, the same thing I did in Tororo, the same thing I did in Kapchorwa. The thing is, if you were an RDC and you can't deal with the sanitation of the human beings,
there's a problem.
Exactly. So that's how the story. Kabarole put on shoes and people would look down that hill as you are going to Mpanga River, seeing people putting on shoes walking into town. It was an amazement.
It was an
I'm not surprised that Fort Poto is next cleanest town municipality in Uganda.
After which one?
After, was it Mbarara? No, Ntebe, I think.
Ntebe is cleanest.
Okay, so now that's part of the history of what we did. There was no force. Have you ever had anybody complaining from Toro? Where? No. That's why, by the way, I was known as an RDC, because I was problem-oriented.
Problem-oriented.
Absolutely.
Providing solutions. Let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. Our number, 0414-348-111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. Spectrum, hello. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Kizito.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
I'm called A.M. Sedugo Guntinda. First and foremost, I want to salute Mr. Fagil Mandy for his stand I want to inform Mr. Fagil Mandy that that's how some Ugandans behave. The people of your character, people who stand on the truth, they don't like you. And that's a very big problem in our government, between the public and the civil servants. So I welcome your resignation. You did it as the right to do it. So we welcome you. And I think after in the government, you will be able to do your work, which you used to tell us how people should behave, how we should do, our characters. I think.
Spectrum, Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Please switch off your radio. Your name?
Hello.
Yes, your name?
My name is Patrick Caboyo.
Yes, Patrick Caboyo.
Hello, Spectrum.
Yes, this is Spectrum, Patrick. Go on.
I first want to say thank you to Mr. Mandy. And I also want to assure him that the work that he has done is appreciated. But the most important thing I must say is that reviewing the UNEB law or causing the amendment without a public input to me is very interesting, because the public is not aware of what should be amended. And it should also be noted that up to this time, the public does not know what has been happening just because information is not flowing very well.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Then Spectrum, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, your name?
Good evening, Spectrum.
Good evening, your name?
Yeah, I'm Chalangat James.
Yes, James.
Calling from Kampala, but I am also from Kapshora. I'm very happy to hear our RDC, former RDC, Mr. Fagil Mandy.
Thank you.
In the studio. Actually, I must tell you that we are some of the beneficiaries of the shoe project that was
very good, Mr. Chalangat.
Yeah, I was actually, I think, in P4 when Mr. Fagil Mandy came to Kapchora district, and I must say that that program actually has lasted for good. People have learned how to wear shoes in Kapchora.
Interesting. Yes, go on. Oh, we lost you. Spectrum, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
This is Dickens.
Dickens, yes.
Good evening, Mr. Mandy.
Good evening, Dickens.
I want to say that you are a man.
Thank you.
You are a patriot.
Thank
You are a nationalist. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Commendation. Spectrum, hello. Hello. You're live on Spectrum. Switch off your radio and then talk to us. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, your name?
This is Peter Kisasi.
Come again, Peter and Jesus, go on.
Peter Kisasi. I want to ask Fagil Mandy.
Yes.
How is he going to win in this? Because I've not seen Museveni lose a war with the people who just walk out from him. He's just going to put you in the cold, what we call Katebe. The Baganda called it was Zemere. Really, how does it help? Then do what?
Okay. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Mr. John from Setamukono.
Yes, John.
Thank you for hosting Mr. Mandy. But my question is one. If Mr. Mandy, those problems you talked about and that made you to resign solved, can you go back in UNEB? Because for me, according to the way I know you, I wish you should be the chairman of the board and you try to rectify the problems that you have mentioned about. Thank you very much.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Good evening to you, Mr. Mandy.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm called Patrick Fagil from Montinda Minister Village.
Yes, Patrick.
Yes, I'm just very happy with your statement.
Thank you.
My only question is do you think UNEB will get executive council which is better than the procedure or the current executive?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we'll get back to the studio after this final call. Spectrum, hello.
Yes, good evening, Edmond.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
Adem Tavas.
Yes, Joe.
I want to thank Mr. Mandy
Thank you.
for his wonderful explanations regarding the UNEB question. But I wanted also to remind Comrade Mandy that we need to appreciate the efforts Mr. Kenya put into that institution. We remember how Kenya found UNEB in 1996, the era of warm, when exams were being sold on NASA Road and printed all over and being transported all over the country. The contribution of Mr. Kenya has been enormous in bringing back the institution into the integrity it is intended to have at the moment. But we also must also accept that in his duty as the chairman of the board, he could have somehow overstepped his mandate and started doing the work of the executive secretary. I thought I would think that they need to work hand in hand together if they are to bring up the board in a more streamlined way.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get back to you, Mr. Mandy.
Let's begin with the last one. I appreciate definitely severally. By the way, I have even covered Mr. Bukanya's story in one of my books, which I'm about to read.
You mentioned him.
Yeah, okay. And I appreciate Mr. Bukanya has done a very good job. That's why, personally, I don't wish Mr. Bukanya to tarnish his name at the last days. Come contract ends, hand in. If you are negotiating for an extension, you will negotiate that while already
from outside.
Exactly. Then two, of course, definitely we need. I don't think I've overstepped. Let me explain this. In Uganda today, with our work culture, when you work fast, they call you very fast. When you push people a little, because people are pushable, because a lot of people don't want to do their job, they call you turning them or rubbing them in the wrong direction, which is the wrong direction.
Is that why the IGG said what she said?
Absolutely.
When you move too fast, you rub people.
You know that you are abrasive. There is that word, you are abrasive. Uganda needs,
not a good African.
We need to understand, we need to be easy but tough. And that's what is killing our country. That's what is killing our country. That's why even a lady like Jennifer Musisi is having pressure, because she's doing what a lot of people don't want to do. She's doing the correct thing as far as I'm concerned.
She has filled potholes.
Exactly, yeah, but she has filled them, and she's a tough woman. I would like to see more tough Ugandans. We cannot catch up in Vision 2040 when we go on playing about with non-performers. We must all work hard. Accept that. Secondly, there was, do you think you would win? Yes. This is not a question of winning. But I think even the debate we have opened on this nationally since I resigned is very healthy. Ugandans need to talk about what's the role of chairman of boards, what's the role of boards, what's the role, how do you work? Can you work pretending? When you don't agree with the situation, you continue pretending? No, for me, I'm not a pretender. Number two, I'm not a stooge to be placed in a position like a flower for decoration. I'm a worker.
You're not a loyal cadre.
No, yeah. Yes, no. A loyal cadre should be the one who runs and does the job of the movement, does the job in national interest. That's the loyal. But not this wagging tails, you know, that sort of thing. So really we need, this debate for me is very healthy. Very, very healthy. Okay? Then of course, why not remain as chairperson? I can only remain chairperson if I know the circumstances will support me to do my work. I'm not the type of chairman who will come and sign for my allowance and go away. No, I want to do my job.
What's wrong with that?
You get signing for allowances?
You keep the family happy.
No. But you should earn your money when you have worked for it. Are you getting me? All right. So then you said, who is this? Yeah, there was. What will you win? No. What will you do after here? Was it Kaboyo? Yeah.
Yes. Patrick Kaboyo.
Yes, he said the public it doesn't know. There is a lot which definitely the public doesn't know. That's why you realize when I became chairperson of the board, UNEB was much more in the mass media.
Oh yes, because
because I am a mass media person. I believe strongly in the role of mass media in the changing of our country. And we must inform the mass media. You don't inform the mass media, you don't work with them, they'll work as misinformed people. Okay? So, for me, I think that
you're a rambunctious person.
You know, and actually we have put the gentleman in charge of PR has put together a communication strategy. And we want to increase house variously we can communicate. The public needs to know what UNEB does. The public wants to know what is the curriculum, national curriculum, the curriculum development Entertainment Center is setting. The public should not remain in darkness. We are serving the public. And then, of course, what is my work? I'm going to go back and do my work.
What work will you do?
Before I came,
you broke coffee.
Before I came to UNEB, I was working. Actually, I did not apply for the job. I was spotted, and I keep saying, remain spottable all the time. I am an education consultant, and I will remain an education consultant. Training teachers, evaluating schools, training young people. My office is in Chebano. It is a registered company. You get me? I am in the business of the hotel. I don't own a very big hotel. I have two little hotels in Kasambia and in Chegegwa, which I built when I retired. You get me? I am also an author, by the way. I told you I'm about to publish 2 other books. There will be 8 books.
One of them about booking.
One of them, no. One of them is preparing for and enjoying retirement. How do you like that?
How about shoes? You want to talk about?
No. Shoes is methods, and what do we want for life? Okay.
Methods. We have to go. Thank you very much, Mr. Fagil Mandy, yes. Former chairman of the Ghana National Examinations, but hilarious man is there. Honorable Jessica Lupo could not join us. She's in Katakuya and she couldn't pick a line, even though she had confirmed earlier. Maybe something cropped up in that district. We have to go. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next, you can hear the news in English.
Hey, Miss Namiaro, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, isn't Biaruhanga